Greetings, YouTube. Happy Thursday, unless you're this guy, or other people who were absolutely waiting to see what the Map 7 crystals would look like. This may not be the opinion of everyone who did Map 7. Maybe you love the Map 7 crystals, but there's no debating that Map 7 is a huge increase in difficulty from Map 6. And so obviously if you're running Map 7, you want the rewards to justify the difficulty, especially if you get wrecked and have to use multiple potions and revives and ultimately units to clear the content. So Vale84 has come out with this forum post that I find to be pretty fascinating and wanted to share it with the community and just kind of discuss it. I, for the record, will not even be doing Map 6. My schedule has gotten crazy. I teach a 300% teaching load this semester at my university, and so I barely have time for Map 5, which is saying something because Map 5 shouldn't take much time at all. Thank God for restroom breaks. So Map 7 crystals are absolutely unrewarding is the headline. Here is what this summoner says. I took care into rolling it one at a time to see each possible combination to find out mainly three huge concerns. There are still T4CC fragments and T4CC full catalyst, which are the resource that every in-game player has so much overflow that we all are well above 100 to 200 full T4CC crystals in our stash. Now, I wouldn't say every in-game player is like that. Certainly there are plenty of exceptions, but I'm sure the people maybe at like the top 10 or 20 of the entire game are like that. And so maybe that's what he's talking about. So yeah, those seem to be complete waste because they're just going to go into overflow. Map 7 should be the new frontier of resources, not use the most useless ones to in-game players to dilute the odds at the good ones. Unacceptable in all caps. He is busting some caps on this Thursday. At a first glance, I thought there were two separated roles, one being T4CC and Tier 4 Basic, and one being Tier 2A and Tier 5 Basic. That would make sense, right? Wasn't a fan of having either Tier 2 Alpha or Tier 5 Basic in each crystal with no chances of rolling both. So essentially he's expecting it to be similar to an Alliance War Seasons crystal, and instead you get an either or with the Map 7. That is an interesting thing to learn. But the biggest surprise was finding out both T5 and T2A aren't even assured in the loot. That is pretty dang shady, gotta be honest. More than one crystal had just Tier 4 class Catalyst and Tier 4 Basics coming out, factually assuring that none of the two rarest resources are granted and, shall I say, guaranteed. At least one of the two in every crystal, which is absolutely a joke considering how much running Map 7 costs. Can't argue with the summoner on that. The random Tier 5 Basic drop doesn't justify a crystal, which in the end seems more like a downgrade than an upgrade from Map 6 ones, especially for the last point. And I'll say this, now of course, even though the refresh times are shady as heck, Tier 5 Basic are in the Glory Store, and of course for months now we've been able to sell Tier 4 Basic for Tier 5 Basic fragments. So Tier 5 Basic has become more common. It's still most likely, I think, the most rare resource in the game overall. Tier 2 Alpha certainly isn't anymore. So, yeah, with it becoming more common, it does seem, with the crazy high cost of Map 7 for alliances at the top, that they're going to need to guarantee some portion, I don't care if it's 100 fragments per Map 7 crystal, to have it be something that's more enticing for the community. But at this point, I really do appreciate the information that this summoner gives. Tier 2 Alpha rolls are... I think that's supposed to say ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe that's like a cool spelling of it because it's a Marvel Contest of Champions version of the spelling. Being a Map 7 crystal, you'd expect a very high number of fragments, but I've seen as little as 450 rolling out of a crystal. Now, that is very small. You diluted already these drops with terrible non-in-game ones, and on top, you even didn't bother to at least grant a decent number of high tier drops for a map which literally melts your battle chips, gold, and loyalty. It literally does. Summing up, Map 7 crystals in the long run and considering the rolls are actually providing less Tier 2 Alpha than Map 6, and aside the super rare roll of Tier 5, which still won't be exactly relevant towards building one, literally rewards the player with even less Tier 2 Alpha compared to a map costing what now way less. Please rework them. You decide to make Map 7 completely linked and hard as you wanted. Being at a challenge has zero purposes if its rewards aren't worth the effort of having to log every 10 minutes to unlink a friend. right now, even with good rolls, Map 7 crystals are nowhere near decent. And someone with some critique behind would say they are again the new bait to troll players into the dream of rewarding prizes. I don't know who quoted that, but it's in quotes. Instead of rewarding prizes, enough, kabam. So, for those of you who have run Map 7, I gotta know, do you agree or disagree with this summoner? He seems to make a compelling case because, as I've said, Map 5 and Map 6 are what my alliance are running, and the Map 6 is really for one, maybe soon to be two battle groups, but certainly not three. I tend to err on the idea that even if the rewards were great, the amount of time that you have to pull away from your non-MCOC life is so challenging with all those link nodes that this really does become a full-time job, only it's probably more stressful, and at least with the full-time job, you're making money, whereas with this, it's most likely just taking money. So I'm not a fan, but maybe you are. Maybe you read this post and you are shaking your head and you think it is entirely subjective and disagreeable. I don't know, which is why I'm making this video. Please let me know your thoughts on the new Map 7 crystals if you have them, and in general, do you think you'll do it? I plan to stay as far away from Map 7 as I did the maze, which I may have a few regrets in life, but not doing the maze will never, ever be one of them. Thanks for watching, YouTube.